dias, it's Guy Pacho with the Weekly Paleo Report, July 3rd, 2019. Moving, it's like the river Styx. This is from Greece. The gates to Hades. It's the gate of Hades. There's a boat that goes through this underground river. Super amazing. As we are in the waters of Cancer with total solar eclipse. And today Venus goes into Cancer and the moon opposes Pluto. She's in Cancer, but she does go into Leo later on today. And the fires will come up and they will come out because she's going to hit, Mercury and Mars. Like I said, Mercury and Mars have been traveling together for like 6 weeks. They've finally come into conjunction right on top of each other on Monday in the early degrees of Leo. Yeah. So, and then, that is right when, what? Mercury retrograde. Drum roll, please. Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year for about 3 weeks. And here we go again with another Mercury retrograde following the eclipse. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And it is in trine to Chiron. Mars is in trine to Chiron. Mars is going to, keep coming closer and closer. That's not exact until next week. Mercury turns around just before it comes into that, good trine with Chiron. And then, of course, the report would not be complete with that, not only did the sun, come around and we have the eclipse in Cancer, but the sun continues to move on to oppose Saturn. That exact opposition is on Tuesday. And then, let's come out of the cave.
So what do you think you're doing there, fella?
This is my old friend, Mr. Sloth. When I first came down to Costa Rica, I was riding my bicycle. Some of you may remember the first report when I put Mr. Sloth on there. I actually changed my animal name to the what was it? The slumbering sloth or something for a while. Fell in love with them so much. Anyway, but I'd give you a little shot of that because it's raining outside and I'm not going out in the rain, so I'm finding creative ways here of giving you the aspects. Moon square sun. So, Friday the moon goes into Virgo. Okay, she's in Leo for a while, and then goes into Virgo. On Sunday, she goes into Libra, and we have that first quarter square moon at 16 degrees, 58 degrees of Libra. And on that same day, Tuesday, sun is conjunct the north node of the moon. Sun is square the moon, moon square the nodes. Yikes. Oh, por Dios. You just ever have one of those days where you just don't feel like doing anything? My baby's not feeling good. It's raining and drizzling. The cat got sick. Just don't even feel like doing this report. I didn't want to get out of bed. I'm not going anywhere to give you some adventure today. It's just another banana report. Oh my God. Moon in Cancer. Yeah, this eclipse, it's a very emotional time. And there's different kinds of rebellion, I think. There's Uranian, Uranus, Aquarius, the future, revolution, rebellion, okay? And then there's the inner child of emotions and feelings that just doesn't care anything about the outside world or out there or changing anything or the future. It's just, it's rebelling against any distraction from feeling its own feelings. So anyway, and it's possibly that, today, this paleo report, I wanted to talk about, some unsettling things. the past. The past. Ah! You know, astrology and me, I like to live in the future. The future, the future. But the moon and Cancer has to do with the past. And now we've got the node of the moon, which is the future going into the past. How about that, right? We've got Saturn, okay, also having to do with the past, conjunct the south node of the moon in the past. I mean, it's just like, and Saturn is reflection, reflecting on the past. And the moon and the total solar eclipse in Cancer is feeling our feelings, and those feelings come from the past. So, you know, I mean, I read, Ram Dass wrote Be Here Now, man. I read that in the 70s. That was my book for a long time. Be Here Now, yeah. Lately Eckhart Tolle follows up with another one, The Power of the Now. And there is this now, 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 but there is a tension between the future and the past. The now is a moment that is always being pulled in, it's like, there's this bizarre continuum going on. And I'm going to say that, when you, go into altered states of consciousness, or dream time, there is no time, and it's all now. And the fifth dimension and the sixth dimension, but we've got these darn physical bodies. And we came into the third dimension for an earthly third dimensional time space experience. And, it starts right out in the womb and then proceeds, more and more into this early childhood. Carl Koenig wrote a really great book, okay? The first 3 years. The first 3 years. And by that book, it's like, you know what? By the end of the first 3 years, it's all laid out. The life is laid out. What's going to happen? How the growth and how the limitations, the boundaries, the conditions, the attitudes, the fears, we're pretty much a doggone package. By the first 3 years, now it's starting to rain on my freaking computer. Look at this. Am I surprised? No. No. Now I'm going to have to pick up the freaking computer, move my chair, change the report, lose my focus, lose my concentration. I'm going to get emotional here. I'm going into the dark. You won't even be able to see me. All right. So anyway, I was thinking about this report, and I don't know if I can get more light on my face or something, if I turn and go over here or something. All right, well, the first 3 years and this going back, and it's like, especially if I've gone, hiking in the mountains, I love the desolation wilderness. It's, outside Lake Tahoe up in California. And, you go hiking through there where there's extreme weather conditions, okay, where there's lots of snow and there's lots of wind and there's lots of, rain, and it's just like, and you notice all the trees and all the plants and all the shrubs, they're like twisted and gnarled, and you could tell, so many years ago, the rings of the tree are telling of this, this, very difficult history. And we have to understand that when we're born and we first incarnate and we come in and we come out of that womb, we are so vulnerable. We are so helpless. We are so at the mercy of our caretakers, of our environment. And at the same time, we are so psychically awake and aware that we don't have boundaries. psychic boundaries, emotional boundaries, physical boundaries, and we're just like big sponges absorbing all of the energy of the time, space, and people that we are surrounded by. And it doesn't have to be 5G and electromagnetic fields to have a negative effect, a negative impact. We are so super sensitive that what, when mom and dad are having an argument in the kitchen, okay, we're just like picking up the energy, we're picking up the vibe, and we can absorb it, and we can also feel responsible for it. We know that many kids feel responsible when their parents get divorced or separate. They don't know any better, and it's very easy to just say, "Oh my God, it must be that I'm too much," or I mean, it can have this, powerful impact on ourselves. If there's any kind of like sexual abuse, there's also mixed feelings, okay? And this can be inappropriate touching. This can be any kind of stuff that happens. When the body is so sensitive. And the problem with so much of that abuse is what? It feels good. So we have good physical sensations produced by wrongful or immoral or improper conditions or situations. So we can, move through life getting excited in the wrong way or by the wrong things or by the taboo. We find the taboo, exciting and stimulating because that was our first expressions of it. And then we can feel guilty because we enjoyed something that was wrong. So what I'm building up to here is that there are so many deeply embedded reasons why we may not love ourselves wholly, fully, and completely. Because so many things have happened, and we can take on the responsibility for our surroundings. We can take on the guilt or the shame, okay, that something went wrong, and we're so open in those early times that it can just like create these imprints like cookie cutters, okay, just like and we form the self image, we form our identity, we form our boundaries or our lack of boundaries, but most of all we create a shell, we harden, and we create a self image, and that self image is a necessary survival technique. So it's like we shut down or we close ourselves off, really to protect ourselves and to really come into a place where we can feel safe. And the other aspect that we want to do is feel powerful and feel strong and feel capable. So, it's like the world is constantly demanding and needing us and wanting more and expecting more out of us. And it's like, in order to maintain, as we get older and older, and, we have to, get a job and, buy food and pay the rent. And, I mean, there's a lot of these demands going on that are, constantly just living in a physical body on a physical planet demands a lot. Oh, man. And so what can happen is, even with the dog barking, I'm going to try to concentrate around here. What a miserable day. Oh, God. You're seeing me at my worst. Where the hell was I? That I would rather feel powerful, bad, wrong, or mean than feel weak, helpless, vulnerable, and scared, right? It's like when there's demands on us and we got to show up at work and we've got to show up to take care of the kids, or we've got to show up for our partner in relationship, or we've got to it's like we can't go. It's a lot of times we don't have time to go into our wounds and into our past and into our fears, in order to, and so we just shut them out and we close them off and we build walls around of walls of protection around ourselves. But then we're not living life to the fullest, are we? We're not open, are we? We're not. You must be vulnerable to experience the mysteries of life. So our walls for protection and for survival end up defeating. It's a self-defeating process, of me, building these walls that create separation, loneliness, isolation, depression, despair. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on when we have this hard shell of the crab, where we have the shield that I don't want to be hurt again or abused again or da 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 da. And behind that shield, I can feel strong. But then I'm obviously talking about this Mercury Mars trine Chiron. This Chiron in Aries is the wounded warrior. So, and I'm talking about these aspects. If you don't get it, right? The Saturn is reflection on the south node of the moon, the past. And in Capricorn, it has to do with, again, responsibilities and duties and, showing up and commitment and everything. So you can kind of, this talk may seem like it's not astrology, but it is. Oh man. So this is the eclipse season. Okay. I mean, we're coming up to, the lunar eclipse. When's the lunar eclipse? It's at 24 degrees Capricorn on Tuesday, the 16th. And you think this total solar eclipse was something in Cancer. Okay. Well, when we come up here, that's going to be a full moon, conjunct Pluto and Saturn in the south node, opposite the sun. And by then, Mercury's going to be coming back and Venus is going to be coming up. And we have a polarization happening. The moon's now moving away from, that solar eclipse there in Cancer. So this is a time, all I can say is, where I encourage you. Okay, it's like it's time for choices. Saturn says decide, make choices, set your goals, and create a life that is along this path. And I encourage you to include your inner child and to include your feelings and to include time out and time off to process and to go into your past and heal those wounds and feel those unfelt feelings and really witness yourself in a new way. And then illumination can come. And that full moon, that lunar eclipse can be this, we can have these tremendous amounts of time where we open and we live life more fully, wholly, and completely, because we're not shut down in fear and protecting ourselves because of we feel ashamed or guilty or bad or wrong, and we've got to just bury those feelings or hide those feelings, not feel those feelings, and not act on or ask for or like fully engage as much as is possible, because we're holding ourselves back out of shame, guilt, fear, whatever. I hope it makes sense. And if not, c'est la vie, man. Such is life. So, the mantra for today is I need to really love myself in order to go back, right? And heal the wounds of my personal past to keep my life on track. This is the thing. If you feel guilty or ashamed of yourself and you don't love yourself enough, you're not going to take the time. You're not going to go on retreat. You're not going to go into meditation. You're not going to take time for yourself and your yoga and time to contemplate and just say goodbye to the world. You gotta love yourself to take the time, out and say, no, I count, I matter, my feelings count, my feelings matter. I need to like really go into and understand, now it's raining even more on my freaking computer. Oh my God. That's it. I'm done with this report. But you can see how it goes in this loop. If you don't love yourself, okay, you don't reflect and review, and you don't heal your wounds, so you keep on not loving yourself, and your world keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Whereas, if you like love yourself enough to go back and feel and go into and acknowledge that, maybe you are wounded and maybe you are not perfect, and maybe it's the result of, some previous abuse or, some, bad, harmful things that happened to you and that you were a victim. I mean, I got into this whole thing, these last few days because I have always been so much against self-pity. And I had to look at that this week. Why are you so triggered by self-pity, Kaipacha? Like, oh, if I get a feeling that, somebody is just like feeling sorry for themselves, it's like such an automatic turn off, because I would never let myself feel sorry for myself, or I don't want to see myself as a victim. Oh no, right? But it's like, hey, when we're babies, we are victims. We're all victims. We have all victim in us, right? And it's created dynamics. And it's not out of that we're weak or we are not, smart or, we're dumb, weak or ignorant or incapable or blah, 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 blah. It's just, it doesn't need to lead to that. But when we go into it, we can also go into a space of healing, which includes forgiving ourselves and forgiving, the others, and then we can move along, and our future is more open. We emotionally connect more, and we live a fuller, liberated. It's like we're free from the past once we process the past. And if we ignore or suppress or deny the past, we are prisoners of the past. Whoa. Got to remember that one. I need to really love myself in order to go back. And what was it? And heal the wounds of my personal past to keep my life on track. May you take time, love yourself enough to heal, process, and feel so that your future is even more luscious and scrumptious than your present or your past. Namaste. Aloha. So much love.